Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Breathe Motivation. My name's Anthony Hester. I'm the host for this show. So glad to join you again this week. I hope you guys are having a great week. It's almost Friday. That's exciting, right? You guys look forward to the end of the week, the end of the work week. If you're working retail or have some job where you work the weekend, I hope you guys enjoy that. And that's what we're about. My goal is to help you find purpose and passion in everything you do on a day-to-day basis. And I like to share my experiences with you guys to help you along the way. So that's why I created Breathe Motivation. So let's get started with today's definition. It's decisive. So having or showing the ability to make decisions quickly and effectively. So I get this question all the time, and it's very interesting to really, when I really think of the answer, it's so different for everybody. But everybody is always asking, hey, Anthony, what do you think success looks like? And I used to think like success is like made like a one size fits all. And I used to think that when I was younger. And I was like, man, that's so insane to think that so many people, and I know a lot of people think that way, that success is only, there's so many different examples of success that it's so easy to get caught up in chasing somebody else's success. And what I've noticed over the last several years is that success is defined by you, right? And the decisions that you make in life. So when you think about success, what does success look like to you? That's what you've got to ask yourself, because my definition of success is completely different, and it's based on, really my thinking, right? My thinking of ideas, my thinking of my, decisions, my thinking of my habits. There's so many things that go into my definition of success, and success looks completely different from me to you to, famous people. I don't know. We all have this idea of success, and that's what really comes down to. So a big thing that I look at when I really focus on success, it's being decisive. So you've got to be able to make decisions quickly and effectively. And one of the biggest ways, and one of the things that I've learned over the last several years, is that you've got to be really focused on growing and making yourself better. And I noticed that a lot of people really tend to focus on their negative traits versus their positive traits. We all have strengths and weaknesses. And when we look at those strengths and weaknesses, I would say a lot of people really start to focus on raising the bar on their negative, traits or their negatives. And I would say that that's probably the wrong way for you to really focus on things, right? We all have, strengths and weaknesses. And when you focus on the weaknesses, you're only going to raise that weakness so high, because naturally we all can't be great at everything, right? I like to look at life and see that, when we look at life, I like to say that we all have gifts, right? And would you agree with that? And maybe you won't agree. Maybe there's other people that think, hey, we don't all have gifts and we're all meant. I don't know. It could go a million different ways. But when you look at life, we all have gifts, and that's how I look at things. We all have gifts that we were given, or that we're able to shape. And that's how you find success. You find the gifts that you have and share those amongst everyone. So when I look at some of my strengths, I would say that I'm very personable. And I think that's really why I gravitate towards sales jobs, because I get to interact with people all the time, and I get to help them to really make decisions on, products that they use, or help them to really just see different avenues of things. And same thing why I started this podcast was, opening people's eyes to different possibilities and really challenging the mindset, right? When it comes down to motivation and inspiration, I've got to be able to challenge people's mindsets, because what ends up happening, and from experience, you kind of get caught in the same loop, right? You continue to go on the same path. And if you're not careful, you'll never grow past that. So that's why I started Breathe Motivation, was to help people see different avenues of life and how they could get it better, right? And it really was geared towards finding your strengths, sharing those with others, because that's the whole point of the gifts, is to share those gifts with other people to help them get better. And when you start to share things with people and you start to share your gift, great things start to happen around you. You're very positive. You're confident in the things that you have, because that's something you're really good at. When you have your strengths and you're focused on those strengths, don't you feel amazing? Don't you feel like you can rule the world based on what you're doing, because you're so confident in the skills that you have and those strengths that you have? So why don't you guys focus on your strengths more? Right? That's something that I always have to ask myself. Why am I so focused on the negatives or the weaknesses that I have when I can really focus on my strengths and really tune those in to really kind of I would say almost overshadow those weaknesses. You kind of make up for those weaknesses based on your strengths. And that's what you've really got to do. And it comes down to decisive thinking, right? You've got to be able to build the knowledge within yourself of you, right? You've got to be able to ask yourself, what do I want out of life? What does success look like to me? I can't look at other people and say, hey, this is what success looks like for them. I see them as a very successful person. And you can do that. And maybe you ask questions about, somebody that you look up to and say, hey, what are you doing in life to get to this point? So that gives you an open idea of, hey, I see this as something that this person enjoys doing. They're very successful in my mind. What are they doing on a day-to-day basis that I could start doing, right? And a lot of it comes down to making great decisions. So you always hear that saying, right place, right time. You know these people all the time. They walk in, have the best jobs, or they're so lucky. You start to see this luck, and it really really comes down to these people, really knowing themselves and putting themselves in that right position. And that's something that you guys can do. And that's all based on really finding, and being open to possibilities. I think a lot of us are so focused on, our everyday life, and we're so caught in this trap. Like we talk about autopilot. You get so caught up in this trap of autopilot, and you're always just, trying to make it one day at a time. And it's great to live in the present, right? We always talk about being in the present, but a lot of us feel like we're in the present, but we're not really there. Your mind is kind of just all over the place. You're always thinking about something else. You've got to be able to look at the situations that you're in. So whether it's in your career, you got to start looking for opportunities within that career, and how can I use my strengths to position myself to get that promotion? And you got to ask yourself those questions. And same thing in your life. If you're looking for a partner, right? What am I looking for in a partner? What are like my non-negotiables? What are the things that I'm going to, I've got to have these. And then you start to like kind of, paint that picture. And then all of a sudden that picture becomes clear. And then you start to see possibilities happening for you. And then you become that person that's, right place, right time. Things start happening for you. And that all really comes down to being open to possibilities and really understanding what you want out of life. There is no definition of success that fits everybody. You've got to be able to know, I used to, as I coach my team, when I'm a management, my goal is not to, make my management style fit my whole team. I've got to be able to interact with each person on a basis where they're going to understand that. So as a coach and as a leader, my goal is to help you find the strengths within yourself and being able to help you see that to be the best person you can be, whether it's in sales or your career or just in life in general, right? That's what you've got to do. You've got to be able to be open to possibilities and be open to ideas that, things can change and you can change, right? When you go through this autopilot, you're going through, this process of, trying to figure things out. A lot of us really, ask ourselves so many questions that we can't figure out life because we're always asking more and more questions. And that's where life gets confusing because you're always thinking, well, what if I did this? Would this work out? So you're really kind of stalling action. And in order to really find success, you've got to be able to take action in life and find the direction in which you want to go. There's so many twists and turns of life and things are going to happen. But one of the things that I've noticed is if you're relentless and you continue to pursue your idea and definition of success, you're going to find it. You're going to hit speed bumps. You're going to, maybe get knocked down. But if you're relentless in that thought process that I'm going to be successful based on, here's my definition, right? My definition is to be the most successful person in my role as a salesman, right? So you have that idea of you and, hey, here's my strengths. I'm great at connecting with people. I've got to be able to use my gift of, building rapport with people and being able to touch base with these people and just having great conversations because that leads to more sales and that's going to lead to that promotion because I'm getting more sales, right? It all kind of aligns with each other and you've got to be able to be open. You've got to be relentless in your pursuit of success for you. and stop following other people's idea of success, right? That's where you get confused. When you start looking at people and saying, hey, that's success. And, do I really want that? Do I want what that person has? No, I've got to find what's best for me. So stop looking at other people's definitions of success and start to look for your own. Start to question yourself and be open to possibilities. And before you ever say no to any opportunity, always ask yourself, why am I saying no? Right? Look for new opportunities to find different strengths, because the more action you take, the more success you're going to find within your definition of success. And you've got to be able to, and be willing to accept that, to really get out of your comfort zone and feel comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's kind of cliche, right? You hear that all the time, being comfortable with, being uncomfortable. But when you start to push yourself a little bit more, guess what? You gain more knowledge, you gain more skills, and then you're able to make decisions quickly and effectively that are going to lead to more success. So instead of sitting at the job that you absolutely hate, that you can't utilize your skills, you notice that quicker. And then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? I have the confidence within myself and my skills and my strengths that I'm going to go find a job that is going to allow me to pursue my definition of success. And that's what you've got to decide to do. You've got to be able to do everything in your power to define success and go after it. Don't sit and wait for things to happen. Because guess what? That right time, right place, right time is created by you. You look for those opportunities. You have the knowledge. You have the strength. You have the idea of the abilities that you have to accomplish things. And you have this positive mindset. And you're relentless. And you're thriving. And you're going to find success no matter what. So you've got to be able to be open towards that success. Be relentless in that definition. Find that definition of success for you and chase after it and go after it. Take steps each day to get towards that. And you'll be amazed at all the great things that come out of that. But you've got to be open. You've got to be open to all those possibilities. And if you're not open, you've got to be able to say, why am I not open? What am I afraid of? What's going to happen if this doesn't? And don't even ask a lot of what if questions, because that's where you start to, really kind of put concrete on your feet. You're not going to move because you're so fearful, or you've got it, if this happens and this happens and this happens, and then you got to go in a circle. So you've got to stop going in that circle, and you've got to be able to take that first step towards your definition of success. And the only way to do that is to be decisive in your actions. Be decisive in the decisions you make and be effective at it. But the only way that's going to happen is to be open to possibilities, be relentless in your pursuit of the definition, and don't look back. Stay focused on the present, stay focused on the now, and your future is going to be bright, baby, right? So that's a great thing that you've got to do. So let me leave you with this definition. It's a little, I don't know, it's a good definition, and I was a little worried to use it because it's not offensive, but it's just kind of weird. But you'll get the hint when I read this. So be decisive, right or wrong, make a decision. The road of life is paved with flat squirrels who couldn't make a decision, and that's unknown. So as you've seen, many times in life, you can paralyze yourself by not moving forward and being decisive in the decisions you make towards your definition of success. So go out there and do that and make things happen. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Breathe Motivate. Like my page on Facebook, Breathe Motivation. Check out my website, breathemotivation.com. And you can reach out to me at Anthony Hester at breathemotivation.com. I love hearing from you guys. If you guys have any questions or have any topics that you guys would like to hear about, or just whatever, feel free to contact me, all right? And as always, remember to breathe motivation and exhale success, and I will see you next week. Thanks.